And we are back. It is Infowars Nightly News, this special Columbus Day transmission. I hope all of you are having a good and safe holiday with your family. We did not take off today because the news never sleeps. Now, this next story is incredible. We'll put up on screen the Chicago Tribune. It's also in other papers across the country. And the Chicago Tribune is reporting lawyer may testify for defense in terror case. And that's actually the Associated Press posted at the Chicago Tribune. A Michigan attorney who claims the government had a role in the attempted bombing of the Detroit-bound plane could be called as a witness for the defense. And it goes on to say that the underwear bomber, Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab, may call Kurt Haskell, who was a passenger on the Northwest Airlines Flight 253 from Amsterdam to Detroit on Christmas Day 2009. Haskell's name was disclosed in court Thursday by attorney Chambers, an attorney who was assisting the reported underwear bomber. Now, let's be clear here, ladies and gentlemen. Kurt Haskell, a month and a half before, in congressional sworn testimony, the Undersecretary of State Kennedy, a month and a half before, Kennedy confirmed what Kurt Haskell said he witnessed in the Amsterdam airport. A month and a half before, right off the plane, Kurt Haskell said he saw the sharp-dressed man get him on the plane, argue with the people at the final boarding area, and get him on without the passport. Later, we learn that the State Department was pressured by a, quote, unnamed agency. This is on record. C-SPAN, Detroit Free Press, you name it, to put him on the plane and to get him that visa. So this is basically what we're dealing with here. So Kurt Haskell is not somebody who is claiming there's a government role. From day one, he said shenanigans are going on. It should be investigated. And now here to break down the incredible development, like out of a Hollywood movie. In fact, they wouldn't put it in a movie. It's too incredible that the reported underwear bomber, the guy who says he did it, would now say that he's going to call Kurt Haskell. We'll get into the jury selection, so much more with Kurt Haskell today. Kurt, thank you for joining us.
Sure. Glad to be back.
Now, that was a basic breakdown. In the 10 minutes we've now got with you, I would like you to just go over what it was like to hear that he's calling you as a witness. And I know you've been going to the jury selection and other parts of the trial, and you've also, on your blog, talked about the Associated Press quoting you out of context. So let's cover it all.
All right. Yeah. I had a trial of my own I was doing Thursday morning, and then when that finished, it was supposed to finish around 1. I was going to head over to federal court, which was about 3 or 4 blocks away from where I was at, to watch the final jury selection. And this was on Thursday last week, so just a few days ago. And just as my trial was ending around 1 o'clock, I got a text from my brother that said, I hear you're testifying at the underwear bomber trial. And this was news to me, so I gave him a call as soon as I got out of my trial. And he said he heard on the radio. Now, mind you, he's in Florida. He lives in Florida. He's not local here at all, so this was national radio. And he said he heard on the radio that standby attorney Chambers had indicated in court today that I'd be testifying. So, as I said, this was big news to me. So I headed over to the federal courthouse to try and talk to Anthony Chambers. And I actually ran into him outside the courthouse. And I said, hey, what's going on? I hear something was said about me this morning in court. I wasn't there. And he said, yeah, Umar said this morning that he wants attorney Haskell to be his only witness in the case. So it's pretty shocking to me, actually. You know, I didn't think that Umar, if he was representing himself, would call me as a witness. Now, I knew that Anthony Chambers would if he was ever appointed official attorney. He's only standby right now. So the fact that Umar himself called me, it's really shocking to me. I'm just very, very surprised at it. It's so ironic. I mean, truth is almost stranger than fiction here. We have the underwear bomber representing himself, having me, the only witness, testify in this case. Remember, he's being charged with attempting to murder me and 289 other people. But how ironic is it that now I'm on the stand to testify on his behalf to save him from a life sentence in prison? You couldn't make something like this up, even. It's extremely bizarre. That being said, the 2 days before this, I was in court watching the prospective jurors get questioned. And how this works, the judge asked each juror some questions, and then the prosecutor asked some questions, and then the defense attorney. And, you know, I kept seeing the same questions come up from the judge and from standby attorney Chambers for the defense. And there were basically two questions, slightly varied, but the first one was, do you think after you hear all the evidence, you'll be able to determine whether the defendant actually possessed a bomb or an explosive device? And the second question that was repeated often was, do you realize that the media doesn't always tell the truth? So I thought those two questions were pretty telling to me. You know, and as I'm sitting there with all these members of the press thinking they're going to report these in their articles, I even talked to two reporters, one from Readers and one from CNN, saying, you know, are you guys catching on to what's going on here, that what I've been telling you for 2 years now is actually true? And both of them kind of shook their heads agreeing with me. But do we have those statements or those questions or any significance in any media story from that day? Not at all. The only place that even appeared was in a continuing blog the Free Press had that day on freep.com. And it was just a little blurb. They had someone at the courthouse giving continual updates. And what it said was, the media is really taking a beating here today, or something like that. The only place this was even scratched upon at all. Because obviously, you know, if the media reports that these questions keep coming up, the next question is, why? And the answer is very obvious. It's what I've been saying all along. Umar was placed on this plane intentionally by an undercover U.S. intelligence agent with a defective bomb. That's the real story. It's the story the press is trying very hard to cover up, and it doesn't want it to get out. It's too explosive. Now, that being said, Umar had a couple of outbursts at the hearing on October 4th, saying that the U.S. is a cancer, and I forget exactly. It's on my blog if you want to see the exact words.
He was saying that Zarqawi wasn't dead and the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anwar al-Awlaki isn't dead, he's alive, something like that. And an AP reporter asked me about that after the hearing. He says, what do you make out of these outbursts? And I said, well, you know, I saw Umar before we boarded. He didn't make a peep. I saw him when he lit his fake bomb on the plane, and his crotch was burning, and he didn't make a sound. And I've seen him here several times in court, and he's always quiet and, you know, doesn't say much, and this is totally out of character. So what the AP reported was, Haskell says this is out of character for Umar. You know, when he lit his bomb, he didn't make a peep. Well, I read that article, and it left out two important things that I thought. One, that I saw him before we boarded, and two, that I said he lit a fake bomb. So you can see how the media was twisting my statements back on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's turning them into false statements, but you told me today on the radio, the AP reporter wasn't done there. I mean, he wants to continue to misrepresent what you're saying.
Right. And after this bombshell on Thursday, where Umar indicated in court that he's calling me as his only witness, I got a call from the same reporter, Ed White of the AP, and you can see his name attached to many of these articles. And I said, look, Ed, before I talk to you again, you know, I read your article Tuesday. I'm not very happy with it. You left out two important details. And I said, I'm only going to agree to talk to you if you put in your article word for word what I say and don't twist it around. Well, this time he put in that I gave him a wild story or something like that, a wild theory on what happened. So based on that, I'm now done with the mainstream media with a couple very small exceptions, one being Fox News and one being another reporter. named Vicky Thomas. I'm not sure who she's with, but she's reported fairly on what I've indicated. So that's going to be about it for the mainstream media. For me, I'm finished with them. They have an agenda here, especially with the trial starting and with me testifying on behalf of the defense. I'm sure they'd love to twist my words around to paint me as some lunatic. It's not going to happen. I'm not talking to them anymore. So, but again, you know, two things are happening with the media. They're not reporting on this, or they're reporting inaccurately, leaving out things, or twisting things around. You can see a clear agenda here by the media.
Well, that's right. If this was just a lone nut underwear bomber and you were some guy, you know, who had a weird theory, they would be, you know, just moving forward. But the fact that there's this clear agenda and there's so much deception, and you've been proven credible over and over again, while they've been proven uncredible, and that they're engaged in deception. You pointed out today on the radio that the same prosecutor they've got in another terrorism case lost the appeal because they had withheld evidence. You were telling me weeks ago, you were at the early trial, that they'd withheld evidence for 1.5 years, and that now his standby lawyer was saying, where's the evidence? And his standby lawyer said yes when you went to visit with him. To put words in your mouth, you can repeat it. But, I mean, you said on the radio that, or to repeat your words, that you went to the standby lawyer, and you're like, have you heard of me? And he goes, yeah, we're basing our case, you know, on your research, and we think it's a case of entrapment. I mean, this is amazing. And I brought up to you on the radio today, and I want you to speak to this briefly. You know, I said, how do you parallel this with Fast and Furious? And you really zeroed in on the core of it. In both events, Fast and Furious is meant to target our Second Amendment and blame what's happening in Mexico on the Second Amendment. And it's the government shipping guns into Mexico, caught red-handed now, and caught perjuring themselves, same Justice Department. And in the case of the underwear bomber, it's meant to roll out the naked body scanners and the groping and the rest of it. I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah, to take away our Fourth Amendment rights, to be free of illegal searches and seizures. Yeah, I certainly see a parallel there. Although, again, I don't know that much about the Fast and Furious case, but from what I've seen, that's what I'm taking out of it, that this was some sort of an attempt to restrict our Second Amendment rights. Obviously, this case, the underwear bomber, was definitely an attempt to take away our Fourth Amendment rights, to roll out the naked body scanners. Well, actually, I'm going to touch on that for a second, too. If we go back to December '09, there were some naked body scanners in the airports, but there were very, very few. And actually, there was already a bill that had passed the House of Representatives, and the bill was to restrict body scanners to only secondary screening in the airports, meaning only if you set off the metal detector first would you have to go through a naked body scanner. It had already passed the House of Representatives. It was waiting to be voted on in the Senate when this event happened on Christmas Day '09. Despite that fact, in November 2009, a month before the underwear bomber, the TSA ordered 150 new body scanning machines. So I think that's pretty telling. You know, if you go back in history and look at what was going on with these body scanning machines at that time. Obviously, since this attack, well, now they're everywhere, not only in airports, now they're talking about putting them where in buses, trains, probably
shopping malls, and they've announced even the small airports today are going to get hundreds of them. Billions of dollars for these companies that the former head, who was the current head at the time, Mr. Chertoff, consults for and makes millions of dollars from. It's just incredibly obvious that the bill had passed to restrict them and to cut into that business model. It was going into the Senate to be completely passed, had the votes. The thousands of machines are ordered a year before. They're about to roll into the airports in January. You're in December, and magically the underwear bomber's gotten on the plane by the U.S. government. They get him the credentials he needs, get him on board. You come out and tell this wild story that somebody with security credentials got him on. Then later it's confirmed. I want to close with this, and you wouldn't give me your take on it today, and I don't blame you because you don't want them to pigeonhole you. You're just following the facts, like they would say in Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am. But you have now, 1.5 years into this, on my show just a few weeks ago, here on the TV show, said clearly this is an inside false flag. The evidence is all there. And they're going to dredge all that up. And they're already doing it. Even when you don't, tell the AP something, they twist it into that when you're stating facts here. And I really, I guess off air I might ask you, but I really do want to know your insider view, surviving the attack, following it for almost 2 years. I want to know the first thing that went through your mind when you found out that the reported underwear bomber was saying that you were going to be his only witness.
What was the first thing that went through my mind?
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, I can't believe it. That was it. It came out of left field because I never, ever thought the underwear bomber himself would call me as a witness. I thought Anthony Chambers would if he got the chance, but again, he doesn't have authority to do that.
So what are the motives? What are the motives? What could be going on? I know it's speculation, but come on.
I don't think I can go there. I don't think I can go. I don't know that I even know the answer, and I don't really want to speculate. You know, obviously, I've never talked to Umar. I've never met him. You know, I don't know. To give an honest answer, I probably could give you an answer if I talked to Umar for about 2 minutes, but I never have. So I would just be speculating. You know, I have to be careful what I say right now because obviously the prosecution's going to try and paint me as a lunatic.
Hey, why doesn't Umar? I mean, he's already fired his lawyers and standby lawyers. Would it be the first time in history that the reported person carrying out the crime could hire one of his victims as his lawyer?
Hire me as his lawyer?
Yeah, he could. I mean, he's already talking about you being his only witness, and you're a lawyer there in that area. He could actually have you as his lawyer. Let's put that idea out here. Would you represent the underwear bomber?
Oh, I don't even think I could answer that. I don't think anyone would. Well, a couple things. I don't know that Judge Edmonds would even let me do that. But number two, if you're an attorney, you can't be one of the main witnesses in the case. And obviously, I'm the only witness. So it would be detrimental to Umar's case because I wouldn't be able to be a witness.
Sure, sure. I was just thinking of the bizarreness of this, that he doesn't have a lawyer. But and he's been reportedly saying he did it, but now he's getting angry. You know, clearly when he heard that Anwar al-Awlaki, the CIA admitted lackey who hangs out and has dinners at the Pentagon, when he heard that he had been killed for the 5th time, by the way, but they never retracted the last 4, that probably freaked him out because that was his supposed handler. And I think that, I mean, if you've got to speculate, that's the first point we look at. That he had an outburst on that subject, said he wasn't really dead, and now I think this might have been a shot across their bow, that he's not going to stay on the reservation unless they make some deal with him. I know this, because following past patsies, no matter what deals he thinks he makes with them, he has no hope but coming out like Lee Harvey Oswald and saying, I'm a patsy, I didn't do this, and then staying alive. Lee Harvey Oswald couldn't do that.
I don't really know what Umar's thinking. I couldn't tell you, really. Even these outbursts in court, I don't know what to make out of it. A lot of people are speculating, but I hate to even guess. It just seems so out of character. I hate to say out of character because he did try to blow up a plane, but it seems out of character from every time I've seen him. You know, he just seems real quiet and meek. Maybe.
Yeah, you said, well, I mean, the way some have described him was disheveled, drugged, whatever. Going back, though, and I want to give you the final 2 minutes with any other points you want to make, Kurt, and we really appreciate you coming and joining us here. This is just amazing information. And, of course, it's unfiltered here, and you know, everything you say is transmitted out to the people. What do you think the prosecutors are thinking? I mean, they're there. They know what you know. They're witnessing all of this. And you know, I asked you last time you were on, have you ever confronted them in the hallway and said, what are you doing? I mean, they've got to know what you know.
Oh, Alex, they know everything. There's no question about it. You know what's kind of strange about this, too? Obviously, I've been stating all along that I was a witness to one of the accomplices of the underwear bomber. This man should be one of the most wanted men in the world. They've never tried to have me identify the person. Not only that, the prosecutors have never talked to me ever, not once. Now, don't you think they want me as a witness in their case to prosecute the underwear bomber or help with the accomplice? They've never called me even once. What do I think about what they're thinking about me testifying? I think they're scared out of their minds. I think they're trying to devise a way to deal with me, and they're probably digging into all kinds of background information on me, trying to find something to paint me as a lunatic or a liar, a cheat, something like that. But they're panicking. They thought if Umar was representing himself that I wouldn't be testifying. They would not call me as a witness, and neither would Umar. I think this announcement is causing a lot of problems for them.
Well, they've got a big problem, to put it lightly. The standby lawyers have told you that their case is based on what you saw and that they believe it is entrapment in the setup. Of course it is. Classic Patsy setup, just textbook. You've got now, obviously, Mutallab is watching you on TV, reading about you in his jail cell, because he has access to that, and is now beginning to think. And let me tell you, they are panicking, and I'm worried he's going to have a heart attack or die or slip on the soap or whatever, or get in prison. I'm worried about you, but we've already talked about that on the radio. Sir, I really look forward to interviewing you a lot more as this unfolds, because here at Infowars and Infowars Nightly News, you're going to have a place where you're not going to be censored on screen during the interview. We've had your website up, but for the visually impaired, it would probably be good if you told folks verbally your website, and then I want to give you about 2 minutes to make any final comments that you think are important and pertinent.
Sure. HaskellFamily.blogspot.com. For any of you that are interested, if you don't know the full story, go back to Christmas Day 2009 and read forward. You know, you can see all the blog posts I've done about this. I've probably done 30 maybe, or maybe more, I don't know. The trial starts tomorrow. We haven't actually talked about that. The opening argument starts tomorrow at 9. The underwear bomber has said that standby attorney Chambers will be making his opening statement. So I'm actually looking very much forward to it. I'm going to be down there unless they kick me out. Now, I may get kicked out since I'm a potential witness, but Lori and I are both going down there tomorrow. We'll be there all day until court's finished. I can't wait. I expect it to be a media circus, but don't expect to see me making too many statements in the media for the reasons I mentioned earlier. You know, I think they're very much against me, and I think talking to them will just hurt my credibility. So, you know, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot happening from this. The trial is expected to take a month. I'm not expected to be called until the very end, so I probably won't be testifying until maybe the first week of November. And, you know, I'll be glad to come back here and give you updates, Alex, whenever I can. I expect there to be a lot of things going on at the trial, and a lot of things I can probably point out, you know, that are happening that aren't true. That's what I would expect, though. You know, I would expect that there would be quite a few anomalies in the prosecution's case.
Incredibly amazing, just off the charts bizarre, and I can't wait to see the truth come out, because already so much of the truth has come out because you were in that airport and saw them get him on the plane, and then it came out that indeed the government was ordered, the State Department, by an unnamed agency, to help get him on that plane to try to kill you and your wife and the rest of those passengers, but you survived by the grace of God, and you're here now. And the assailant, the admitted assailant in his own words, for whatever reason, is now calling you. This is the stuff of Hollywood movies and legend, buddy. It's real world. It's not fiction. Kurt Haskell, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thanks, Alex. Glad to be on anytime.
Thank you, sir. Wow, that's it for this edition of Infowars Nightly News. It is so important to pray for that guy and to also go to his website, get that information and get it out to everybody you know. Because this is just like Fast and Furious. This is another false flag staged event. I've analyzed it. I've been studying this for 17 years. As you know, this is my specialty. And it has got the fingerprints of a staged event all over it. It's been confirmed to be one. And we can bring these criminals to justice if you get this information out to everybody. Also, you know, we post this first and stream it first to prisonplanet.tv and the great members there. If you believe in this information, please subscribe. But then we post it to the YouTube channel and also to the Four Winds, where tens of millions a month watch this information. If you believe in this information, become a prisonplanet.tv subscriber. See all my films in super high quality. My book, Paul Watson's book, 8.5 years of material at prisonplanet.tv. You can also watch the show live when we first air it at 7 o'clock Central each and every weeknight. And again, we will continue, Lord willing, to be here and cover the incredible underwear Christmas Day bombing trial as we approach the 2-year anniversary. I'm Alex Jones signing off from the front lines of the info war. Great job to the crew.